go about doing that.
And we are live. Yeah, how I understand it is you have to somehow get a hold of Rags, which I was barely able to do. That if you get a hold of Rags, then there you go.
Because I do remember me and Rags did exchange DMs about quite a few things a long time ago. I just did not know that you just DM them and they invite you on. I was always curious what happened.
Yeah. Well, it confused me a little bit because when I first asked them about it, he's like, "Oh, we'll put you on our list." I'm like, "Oh, so that works." I'm willing to bet that since I'm on the smaller side, I probably won't be considered until way later down the line. And I don't know how they would feel about you. Because I've tried to get on their podcast on several occasions. Preferably one with ER so I can get wet over Senpai's voice. I swear to fuck, ER has the cutest voice ever. But yeah, for those who are just showing up, this is another episode of my podcast. I'm going to try to do a podcast episode at least once or twice a month as a part of like the new channel updates that's been going on behind the scenes. And I'm still working on a name for it. There is a post in my community tab about it if you want to suggest any names. I was originally going to name it Trap Nation, but then I realized, you know what? Some dickhead already took that name, and I don't want to be associated with a garbage trap music YouTube channel because I hate trap music. So I'm working on a new name. Once I figure out a name, I'll update all these episodes with the name of the podcast. And we will be responding to a video as well. And I found a pretty... Well, I wouldn't say I found it. One of my subscribers found this really cringy video. As the title suggests, there's this idiot out there that thinks that femboys have a neo-Nazi problem. More on that later.
The moment that I get on EFAP, the first thing I will do is contact Malur just on the spot and ask him why did he copy what I do for my podcast. Because we actually were doing it like just a couple months right before him, the same thing, and going on for 12 hours each.
I want to say coincidence, but who knows?
That was awesome.
I know. I remember one time I became infuriated that Death Battle took an idea of mine, and since I never made the idea public, I was never able to claim that they stole it, so I never did, but I was so annoyed. When they did Sanji versus Rock Lee, I'm like, you son of a bitches stole my idea. Damn you. But I never made the idea public because it was an idea I kept constantly kicking around. Like, maybe I'll do it for my Blood Royale show I've been working on. Maybe not. I wasn't quite too sure. And then Death Battle did. I'm like, well, that's it. I'm not doing it now because Death Battle did it. Anything Death Battle does sucks.
Anything they touch just turns to shit.
Exactly. That's why I pray to hell they don't take any more of my ideas. That's why I keep my ideas to myself because I was on Twitter once. And they're like, this guy was like, who do you think Rin Tosaka should fight? I'm like, I'll tell you exactly who she should fight, but I'm not going to tell you because the last thing I want is Death Battle to get their hands on it.
Yeah, speaking of that, I remember someone wanted to put Rin Tosaka versus Pikachu.
Okay. Pikachu gets slapped.
All right, there we go. I linked the video that we are going to be commenting on.
Ah, perfect. And I will share the podcast around while we talk for a bit.
You can definitely see it inside that chat, the private chat and the Discord. I linked it.
Yeah, that'll be amusing if you ever get on EFAP, just like it'll be amusing if I ever get on there, because I'm going to make the most of my trap persona while I'm there, because EFAP will occasionally make jokes about, like, gayness or traps or femboys, but they never have anyone that just goes all in with it. Like, I know Dishonored Wolf would sometimes fuck with trap jokes, and it was always funny. I like to imagine Aaron is a woman and Levi's a hermaphrodite. Freaking Wolf.
Speaking of Wolf, the other Wolf just seemed to DC'd, I think.
Let me see. Ah, son of a bitch.
Now you're just talking to yourself.
Or am I? Because
Sorry about that.
another joke I once made a long time ago is that I cloned myself. So again, already ahead of the curve on that one too. No, not really. Most of you showing up are just here for the beginning parts. I think that's why EFAP just has a little bit of a section where they just fuck around before they get to the video. At first, it kind of annoyed me because I'm like, shouldn't you just be getting to the video? But then I'm like, maybe they just do that just to give people a chance to show up. Share this real quick to my Discord. I suppose you could share it to yours as well if you care to. But yeah, as the title suggests, I was able to get Unown Otaku to join us, which I actually didn't expect. Because for some reason, I never expect other YouTubers to communicate with me. I always assume I look like a pleb to them.
Well, you're not wrong. Oh, no, I'm just messing around.
Yeah, I admit most of my reputation is within the trap and versus community. That's actually how I ended up building my channel. Was my reputation in the versus community got me a lot of traction when I started telling Death Battle to go fuck themselves.
Fans certainly didn't like that. They don't like it when you criticize their show.
But how else am I supposed to get my rocks off? What are you? They seriously suggesting I go back to the hub? The hub is dead. But yeah, I thought I would give a whack at the whole podcast thing. Worst case scenario, I suck at it, and I'll just keep trying to get back on EFAP and most likely failing miserably. I once put a joke in one of their comment sections. I'm like, whose dick do I have to suck around here to get on EFAP? Is it Rag's dick? Since he always jokes about being the gay one.
That's bestiality.
Oh, yeah, that's right, because Rags is also a dog.
Awkward.
Huh. Last thing I want to do is pull a mag. That would be disastrous.
A nag.
I feel like only people who like know me personally will be able to get that in joke.
Okay.
I don't know. I don't know if it's a situation where you want to know the context of that joke.
Probably not then. Ooh, so what are we like? How are we gonna watch it and whatnot while we're in here? Are we gonna be doing like one of those 3, 2, 1 starts, or is it gonna be?
Oh yeah, I have it set up right here. I can start it at any time.
All right.
Yep. And if you want, we can begin right now, or we can continue to have a little bit of a calm before this storm. Because I have a bad feeling this video is going to give me a headache, because I've only seen bits and pieces of it, because I wanted most of my reaction to be natural for the response. However, I did go into this person's comment section, and thankfully, most people don't seem to be taking this moron seriously. They're just memeing around in the comments, which leads me to believe I don't know if this individual is aware of the fact that femboys and furries pretending to be neo-Nazis is a meme. I don't know if he or she or whatever they go by is aware of that.
I don't know if you're aware that it's actually legitimate.
How so?
How is it legitimate that they are that? Well, I saw them say it. That's how you know.
Oh yeah, I forgot these morons take everything literally because I found another crap video that if we have time for, maybe we'll respond to that one too. But this person now says, get a load of this. Femboys, pagans, bronies, and furries are all neo-Nazis. And they supposedly interviewed a ex-neo-Nazi femboy, something I highly doubt is actually real. I'm almost positive this moron just fell for a troll.
I mean, he still hasn't fully found everything out yet because he's missing the most important one. It's the one that hides so well that you would never expect. It's the neo-Nazi Jewish people. They're everywhere. In fact, they're almost every single one. And it has a huge problem with it. It is like, despite making up like 1% of the population, it is like 90% of all the neo-Nazis.
Like at this point, I have to wonder if these people even know what neo-Nazis are, even regular Nazis. Because what I always find amusing is whenever people call people Nazis, I'm over here someone who's actually freaking German, and I'm over here just like, do you morons even know what a Nazi is? Like, I almost want to say I'm mildly offended, but at the same time, I'm not, because I don't think these idiots even know what a Nazi even is.
So I can explain that. So a Nazi is someone who is German that doesn't hate themselves. And a neo-Nazi is a German that doesn't hate themselves and also watches a lot of The Matrix.
But for actual context, as a history buff, I can explain to you a Nazi is what is known as a National Socialist. Believe it or not, Adolf Hitler believed in a lot of the ideas these so-called progressives believe in. You know, gun control, universal health care, all that good stuff. It's just that since they don't believe in gas chambers, they believe they're not like Hitler, even though Hitler would have supported a lot of their ideas. And if he was still alive today, he'd likely be supporting the so-called progressives and would be trying to gas the so-called alt-right.
Okay, so for real, what the difference between it is, it's more of one is a little bit of a difference between what private property is, but the other big difference is mostly their views on who gets it. While socialists believe in a globalized economy in the sense of they're doing it for everyone rather than just their own nation, the Nazis did it specifically for their own nation. That's pretty much all the difference.
Yeah, that's why people try to say that that Nazis weren't actually socialists. They were a part of the right wing, supposedly. But I'm gonna have to call bullcrap on that, because socialists always like to use the that wasn't real socialism, which has led to anarchists in my community saying, to the people who brought you the no true Scotsman fallacy, now it's the no true socialism fallacy. Anytime you point out an example of failed socialism or how socialism was a part of a not so good party of people, they immediately say, oh no, that's not me, man, I swear. Every single time they do.
I mean, the easiest way to counter that is that because from what they're saying is that it's not the picture perfect socialism idea utopia, which is hilarious, because if you want to use that logic, then we're not in real capitalism either. Like, by that logic, none of these like utopian political ideologies have actually ever existed. I mean, technically capitalism did exist at one time, and there wasn't like almost any problems that is theorized to have happened. It's just regulation just kept coming in and more, and then kept putting it further away from what capitalism is.
Yep, and that's the sad reality, because the thing is contrary to popular belief, speaking as an ANCAP, capitalists are not utopian. They're fully aware that they're fully aware, and we don't even expect our system to be perfect because we're not utopian. But what we do know is that capitalism works. The free market works. Let the free market be free. And if there's any flaw in our society, the free market of ideas and the free market will handle itself. Like, we don't believe in any utopian BS because we know you'll never be able to create a perfect society. To believe otherwise is very childish.
I don't know. I think you can create a perfect society, and it's usually just putting me as the leader with 100% authority.
Well, Douglas, you shouldn't hate capitalists because, in my experience, most people who hate capitalists hate them out of ignorance. Capitalists are like the last people you want to hate. Like, literally, a capitalist's job is to provide a product or service that you want at a quality and price better than that of their competitors. They literally exist to serve you. To say you hate them is to say you hate products and services that you want. Kind of makes you
the biggest thing
now,
about
doesn't it?
people saying that they hate capitalism or capitalist. It's really funny because almost all their criticisms of capitalism is not actually capitalism, and their criticism is against corporatism.
Exactly.
Which
I've had to explain this so many times.
different.
Do you know how many times I've had to explain this to Jim Sterling? I can't tell you how badly I want to debate him because I'm sick and tired of him mouthing off about capitalism while simultaneously not understanding what capitalism is and not understanding the distinction between corporatism and capitalism. I remember one time I was a bit of a condescending dick in his comment section. I'm like, Jim Sterling actually called out corporatism for once instead of capitalism. Good job. Yeah, I may have been a bit of a condescending dick, but if I'm being honest, Jim Sterling kind of deserves it.
Yeah. It's just the usual spiel of something doesn't go right in their lives. They blame capitalism.
Yep, everyone always has to have a scapegoat, just like how I'm sure this person probably wants to scapegoat neo-Nazis for all their problems. And right out the gate, this thumbnail just pisses me off. Like, there's just so much wrong with it. Number one, get Astolfo the out of your thumbnail, okay? I am sick and tired of these. I'm sick and tired of these transgenders just taking our queen and using him for all their nefarious purposes, even trying to turn him into some kind of trans icon. Stop that. Stop trying to take our queen from us. You can't have him.
They also try to turn him into a non-binary icon as well.
Yep, and that didn't age well either. Like just this thumbnail alone annoys me because I don't know if this person's insinuating that Astolfo is trans or not. If they are, I am so sick of having to debunk this. On my old Twitter account, before it got suspended for unknown reasons, one of my highest rated tweets was when I saw this stupid post on the trans wiki, and I pointed out how, can you people stop calling Astolfo trans? He's not. And the next thing I know, thousands of likes, thousands of retweets, people commenting it, most agreeing with me, but some transgenders trying to say, actually Astolfo's transgender, and some of the stuff they say is insane. Like, this is an actual argument they make. It never said in Astolfo's backstory that he transitioned, so therefore that's proof that Astolfo's transgender by using a lack of evidence. And I'm already hurting my brain. Ow.
And then we can just point out that Astolfo says, "I'm my own man."
Yeah, like that's one of his most famous quotes. Not to mention, Astolfo laughs at the thought of Ruler thinking that he was a woman the whole time. He finds that thought hilarious.
Yeah, well, their excuse is, but it's the localization, though. It's not what it is in Japan.
Yeah, that's what they always say when That's the exact same argument I hear from people in the versus community when there's a power scale that goes against their idea of how strong a character is. They'll say localization. That's not an argument. You don't get to say because I've seen both the sub and the dub. Guess what? It's the exact same context. Astolfo laughs at Ruler for thinking that he was a girl. And even Sieg says, I can't believe she didn't know that you were a girl. Even Sieg was just like, really? She couldn't figure out that you were a boy? What an idiot. Like, that's basically what he might as well have said. And I won't act like Sieg's the brightest tool in the shed either.
Yeah. But English sub is still localization.
That's dumb.
Yeah.
And what the heck is this symbol right here? It looks like 4 Ks and a effed up pause sign. I don't even know what that's even supposed to represent.
Kekistan.
Ah, yes, Kekistan. Another meme that these morons take seriously. And you just got to love the description here. One of my most requested videos for some reason. Racist femboys have become a meme, but in this video, we delve into the femboy community. We delve into if the femboy community does have a problem with fascism and why some might be attracted to the alt-right. That reads off like a freaking parody, but I'm almost certain this moron is going to take the entire video seriously. Also, what is up with this ContraPoints looking motherfucker? It takes a lot for me to say this person is just the less attractive version of ContraPoints. How much do you have to suck at life for me to be able to say, oh, look, it's the less attractive version of ContraPoints? Should I even address this question?
So wait, you're asking who is that on the screen?
No, this person's asking who is Astolfo, and I'm like, what?
Oh, okay. I was about to say, is like, if you're asking who's on the screen right now, that's Jeffree Star.
Ah, Jeffree Star. I don't even know who that is. Apparently, Jeffree Star is mentioned a lot in this person's comment section and video. Apparently, I have no clue who that even is.
Yeah, he is a beauty guru kind of person that does a lot of makeup stuff, and they became like insanely rich. And they pretty much grew up on the streets and whatnot, from what I heard. They pretty much are a self-made multimillionaire. And apparently...
well, that would explain why this person and this guy's audience probably hates that person so much then, because a self-made billionaire, we can't have that now, can we?
I don't think he is a billion, but self-made multimillionaire. But what's it called? Like, no one was actually hating him for that. In fact, he was actually very loved and praised until, it started coming out that he said the N-word in the past, and he's done a lot of Nazi imagery, makeup shit, and sold it. And then pretty much he's never disavowed it. In fact, he kind of doubles down on all of it. And then more starts coming out. Like, people started watching him like under a microscope, and it's like, oh no, he might actually be a Nazi. Me, I haven't done my research enough to know whether it is or not. I honestly don't give a shit about makeup too, but I see it referenced all the time.
Really? Nazi makeup? I don't even know if Nazi makeup was even a thing back then. There was just...
So it's not
maybe Nazi
makeup. The products itself had like swastikas and all that shit all over it, and not like the piece ones, like the actual shit. And I think one even had Hitler or something.
Yeah, but that's one thing I find amusing. Technically, the swastika originally was a Buddhist symbol, and it was just taken by the Nazis for whatever reason. So if you want to pull the whole history thing, shouldn't we be using the original swastika and not the one that the Nazis used, since these people want to constantly go back through history? And another thing I'm going to debunk right out the gate, since I am German and I know my history, for anyone who says that the Iron Cross is a Nazi symbol, get fucked. The Iron Cross is just simply the symbol of the German military and still is the symbol of the German military. So stop calling my people's military symbol a Nazi symbol, you ignorant morons. Either pick up a textbook or throw yourself down a flight of stairs because you are useless to society.
Yeah, I'm definitely sick of that too. And I also think the Iron Cross is a cool looking symbol.
Yeah, it's just, I'm so tired of people that they don't know anything about my people's history, and it just pisses me off because these are the same people that want to call everyone else bigots and ignorant, but they're ignorant about German history and German culture. The Iron Cross was used way before the Nazi Party even came into power.
But context doesn't matter.
Not only that, but my own people are trying to ethnically exterminate their own people because they're ashamed of what the Nazis did. So because of Nazi guilt, the German party is now trying to exterminate German people in Germany as we speak. I shit you not. It's why I'm sick and tired of people complaining about Nazis. The Nazis are gone. They're not ever coming back. And the neo-Nazis are not true Nazis. I view them as just wannabe Nazis. I don't even think they even know. I will bet my life the neo-Nazis probably don't even know what the Nazis believed in. And if Hitler was still around, he'd probably kick their asses if he saw them. But I guess might as well not put the video off any longer. All right, let's see what this person's got.
I've always been a guy in makeup. I started wearing makeup in 10th grade, and the world was not how it is today. 10 years ago, there were no guys in makeup on YouTube. There was no men in makeup parading the streets. There was no people like me, and I was very alone, and I was also fearless. I did not care that the world was not accepting me, and I would leave the house and people would spit on me. They would scream freak, and they would degrade me every single day. I fought back with rage. Just because someone insults you, it is not okay to fight back, but sometimes that's how we handle things.
We are slowly coming to the end of this series, which I've been doing since the start of the year, but a comment I've constantly received on every...
Should I even be surprised that this guy is a freaking neckbeard? I swear. Why? Why is it always these type of people?
Yeah. It's always those type of people are labeling us neo-Nazis. I've seen them label us neo-Nazis more than actual trans people.
Like, the beanie, the neckbeard, like, the only thing this guy is missing is some kind of ugly flannel shirt or something, and he would look like your typical millennial. Like, ugh. Okay.
Every single video in surprisingly large numbers is cover alt-right femboys. Now, I didn't even know this was a thing, and it's not something that has been widely...
I get the feeling this person is unaware of a lot of things, because if they did their research, they would know that this is just a meme. It's not anything to be taken seriously. Like the fact that this person takes all the furries that pretend to be Nazis or put swastikas all over their dumb fursuits, like he takes that seriously, is quite telling of how much self-awareness this individual seems to possess, i.e. none. Like when I can say that Scorch 88 and Mag have more self-awareness than you, that's not a good sign. Those are two people, if you remember them from my polyamory video, lacked a ton of self-awareness.
Yeah, I remember.
Yep.
Covered on YouTube or in the mainstream media, because I could barely find anything like concrete or any research done. So what we're going to do...
Because it's a
video,
meme, you moron.
I'm not saying this community specifically has this problem, because I just don't think there's enough evidence. But we're going to look at racist, alt-right femboys. We're going to talk about, why they might exist. We're going to talk about how the community feels about them. And we're also going to tie it back to Nazi Germany, like we do in all these videos, because there were some sort of femboys in the German army, surprisingly. So we're going to talk about all that stuff.
What? There were femboys in the German army.
I know what he's talking about, and I'm waiting to get to that part, because if he knew anything about the military, then he's like really fucking retarded. I know what he's talking about, though. You'll just have to wait and see, because we do it even in the U.S. military.
I pray to God he's not talking about the military of Nazi Germany back in the 1940s, because if he is, then God help me. As a history buff, that's going to piss me off.
It's more of like, I guess, it's completely not what was actually done back then. He's showing examples and clips, and we'll just wait until he gets to it. But it's examples and clips of what happened back then. But he took it out of context, and it's not what it is at all, or what he's saying.
Of course he did. And I just love how this person says, like, I'm not saying that this community is Nazi because there's no evidence of it, but there are Nazi femboys. Huh? So you admit... So right out the gate, this person admits they have no evidence for anything that they're talking about. So this person is literally just talking out of their ass for 18 minutes straight.
Yep, it's like they're saying pigs can fly, but showing no evidence.
Every time I get the feeling that every time he brings up history, he's going to give me a headache.
But yes, unlike the others, I don't think there is concrete evidence of these things, but it clearly is a thing that sometimes happens because enough people talk about it.
Yes, because as we know, this person probably believes in collectivism. I'll just throw that out there. I don't know too much about this person. I only did a tiny bit of research on them, but I'm willing to bet this person probably believes in collectivism and thinks that if some do it, then that must be a representation of the community as a whole. I'm willing to bet. That's usually how it goes with these people. And what's amusing is when I called this person out in his comment section, he just called me a dumbass and just said, I'm only looking at the beliefs of some femboys. Yes, because some represents all, right? I mean, whatever.
And people are talking about it online. It's just not very clear how many of these people there are. But before we get any further,
I can tell you,
by the way, by the end of his video, I'm almost positive he pretty much says he doesn't think it's an actual problem in a small minority.
Yeah, because I can tell you from my experience of being in both the femboy and the trap community, even though one would argue that femboys and traps are the same thing, but whatever, I won't get too deep into that here. Almost every femboy and trap I've ever met, not one of them has ever claimed to be a neo-Nazi or a part of the alt-right, at least not unironically. So, yeah, that's just not a thing. Nobody, as far as I know, nobody in the femboy and trap community, at least that I've personally met, has ever claimed to genuinely hold Nazi or so-called alt-right beliefs, which I'm sick and tired of hearing the term alt-right because I don't even know what the alt-right even means. I hear it all the time, but I have no clue what it means. All I know is that it's a term that's used by people on the left to just label people that they don't disagree with, because I've been told that ANCAPs are alt-right because we believe in capitalism and we're anarchists. But then I'm also told that neo-Nazis are part of the alt-right, even though, again, if you go off of traditional Nazism, they would be socialists, which is a part of the left. So I don't think there's any consistent term for what alt-right even means. I'm going to Google it at this point because these morons are so unreliable and so vague with what alt-right even means. The alt-right is a loosely connected far-right and white nationalist movement, a largely online phenomenon. The alt-right originated in the... Okay, so it's basically just white nationalism. Okay, so white nationalism. Gotcha.
Yep.
If you want to support me financially, check out my Patreon. You can also just like the video.
I hate dickheads that plug their Patreon at the beginning of their video. Eat shit. I'm not going to support your freaking Patreon. Let me get an idea of what your content is like first before you plug your shitty bullcrap. At least I wait till the end of my video to plug my stuff, so if anyone who doesn't care, they can just take off.
Video, subscribe, and maybe share the video. That helps me out a lot as well. And you can also come and...
Oh yeah, I'll share your video, but maybe not in the places you'd want me to. I could share your video in 4chan if you'd like, but you probably won't want me to. Freaking dickhead.
On my Discord and my subreddit, both of those links are in the description.
Of course this guy has a subreddit.
It is at the Tabernacle on Twitter and on Instagram. And in terms of these videos looking at the alt-right and everything, I think I'm going to do one more tomorrow on Friday. And then on Monday, we're going to do like a series finale where I'm going to talk about all this stuff. And maybe I'll keep making these videos, maybe like 2 a month.
It's been almost 3 minutes, and this guy is still at the intro. I remember in the earlier days of my YouTube channel, I had a problem with long-ass intros, and I got so much shit for it. I even had to discard an old opening I used to use because people complained that it was too long. This jackass is just wasting time. Get to the point.
Of like every single one. Like I said, I had to do my own primary research for this stuff. I had to go looking in these communities for conversations about racist alt-right femboys. So I went to Feminine Boys, which is a text-based subreddit, opposed to, you know, the Femboys one, which is primarily pictures. So on the Feminine Boys subreddit, u/OG employee wrote racist femboys. It said, why is it a meme that femboys are racist? I see this on Twitter mostly. I mentioned femboys while on a Discord call with some friends, and they all joke about femboys being racist. Kind of sucks. Some people had to make the rest of us look bad. Here are some memes I found.
Edit. Just found out one of my friends actually thinks, because of the memes, that almost all femboys are racist. Bruh, I need a moment. I find it interesting that he leaves out that little edited part when he was reading it off. That's why I wanted to pause it, to make sure that he doesn't leave anything else, because I fully expect this guy to not fully read what he puts on screen.
All right, I'm back. What did I miss?
Oh, he was just reading off how he went on the Feminine Boys subreddit and found this.
Okay. Almost a year.
He didn't read the full thing, so I wanted to pause it here because I expected him to not read the full thing because
Saki was in your room trying to tear this open.
Of course she was. Like that damn cat. Anyway, so literally these people are just saying because memes exist, therefore neo-Nazi. Like, ow. This reminds me of the idiots that unironically think that ER is a Nazi or that PewDiePie is a Nazi. It's literally the same thing. Oh, well, ER memes around that his persona is that he's an anime Nazi, so I guess that he's a Nazi.
Yeah, my most my favorite argument to talk about that is a comparison between ER and this, and you'll laugh when you hear this, and How to Basic. Because if you want to claim that ER 100% is legitimately that, then are you going to also claim that the how to basic person is actually this crazy chunking eggs everywhere, weird, terrible at how to videos? It's just one of those things. It's like, if you want to say, just because they are like that and blah blah blah, that it means that, and it's like, it's just a funny comparison I like to bring up, because I love to hear how one justifies how to basic while at the same time it doesn't justify ER.
Yeah, not to mention, I assume these idiots take everything literally, so I wonder, do they think that Rags is literally a dog? Do they think that Mueller actually goes around wearing a gas mask at all times? Do they think that Star Wars girl is literally Ahsoka Tano?
I wouldn't take that stance, but whatever. They're talking more about the persona and what they do.
Yeah, that's the thing. Like, they're taking personas and memes literally.
They probably do think that he's actual dog because the people are that stupid. Trust me, don't underestimate the stupidity of these people.
Oh, I don't. So let's see what else this guy found.
Racist. I see this on Twitter mostly. I mentioned Femboys while on a Discord call with some friends, and they all joke about Femboys being racist. Kind of sucks. Some people had to make the rest of us look bad. Here are some memes I found, and it does seem to be
Where's the racism exactly? Is there something I'm missing here? Am I supposed to take that this book is like a book on Nazism? I don't get this meme.
Yeah, me neither.
Also, once again, stop putting the transgender flag behind. I hope to God that's not the transgender flag. Because if it is, I'm going to have another aneurysm.
Yeah, it is.
I really need to get my video finished on Astolfo is not
All right, I'm back.
transgender.
Sorry. I was answering the door. I just finally got my hands on the thing that killed more black people than cops.
Lol.
Popeyes.
But yeah, I'm just trying to make sense of this meme right here while trying not to drop dead from a brain aneurysm. Because once again, Astolfo in front of the transgender flag. Stop doing that. I'm so sick of having to explain to people that Astolfo.
So,
I feel like
actually know what that flag is, and I know some of my friends that make that. That's not just the normal transgender flag. So what that is an ideology called homofascism.
Yeah, because I had no clue what this symbol represented. I've never seen.
So that is the Black Sun symbol. If I think it was called the Black Sun, it was something along those lines. But it is a Nazi symbol, and that is their flag of homofascism. And what's it called? Astolfo is pretty much what they use as the character that shows it. And yeah, it's one of those things.
They need to stop.
It's a really neat, not serious ideology.
Okay, so I looked up homofascism and I ended up with gay fascism. It says gay fascism is the discredited idea that homosexuals were numerous and prominent as a group in the Nazi party, or the identification of Nazism within homosexuality. Okay. And that's the thing. I'm so sick and tired of people trying to take Astolfo and make him as their mascot. It's really starting to tick me off. Astolfo's already the mascot for Traps, everyone. Deal with it. Get your own mascot. Make your own shitty mascot. Leave Astolfo alone.
It's time for me to make Astolfo the ANCAP mascot. Astolfo's every mascot.
Yeah, because that's one thing that's one thing that drives me nuts about Astolfo because Astolfo is popular and Astolfo appeals to everyone for the most part, except for people with fragile heterosexualities. But outside of that, everyone likes Astolfo. Like it's like similar to people like Saber. Like he's one of the most popular and beloved Fate characters. Everyone loves him. He's super popular. So these people want to take Astolfo because they know he's very popular and a lot of people like him and make him their mascot. The transgenders want him. The homo fascists want him. It seems that everybody wants him, and it's starting to piss me off. And because all I can think is, get your own mascot. Astolfo's the queen of traps. He's been that way for a long time.
I mean, if they wanted a trans character, they could have got Da Vinci, who's actually trans, or one of the protagonists from Wandering Son.
Oh, I got a better idea. Put Steven Universe on there. It'd make about as much sense. Oh wait, no, we can't put a Jew on there. I forgot.
A pretty prevalent meme, but then people in the comments wrote,
"Based racist femboys." I severely hope that none of these idiots take this seriously. Again, quit using Astolfo. There are other femboy characters, you morons.
So, ever since Tumblr banned porn, there's been a spike in Tumblr users on Twitter, which mainly consists of TERFs, right?
Oh, God. Oh, fuck me.
The TERF buzzword.
Okay, TERFs, people fetishizing, insert group of criminals, racist femboys, etc., blah, blah, blah. Well, first off, Tumblr was always a fucking cesspool from the very beginning. Tumblr probably would have been better off not banning porn.
Racist femboys and other people. So basically, Twitter is the new Tumblr, and since Twitter is kind of the norm, now everyone has been exposed to these types of people. This might be the answer.
Is Twitter the new Tumblr, though? Because Twitter is so quick at banning content they find offensive, it's insane. I once made a joke about drinking bleach, and they suspended me without a second thought. And it wasn't even a particularly bad joke. All I did was just go up to Anime Man Joey and make a joke about, and I just made a joke. I just said, time to drink bleach. And I got suspended for that. So how is Twitter becoming the new Tumblr?
I know Twitter has certain phrases and words that, if picked up by reporting and whatnot, they will just auto ban it. I know what's it called. There's certain words usually, if it requires like death or any of that, Twitter just auto bans without a second thought. Unless the bots can read more context, but while it might be a meme, bots can't tell.
Oh yeah, bots are
I'm going to bleach now, but the way they see it is that
they said it was a threat of self-harm, even though it was literally just a joke.
Mm-hmm.
I didn't even make a threat. All I said was just time to drink bleach, and for all they knew, it was just a reference to the anime Bleach. For all they know. Okay.
So someone else wrote, it's a thing I've encountered a lot, actually. This subreddit is very heavily moderated, but in other places, right-wing femboys aren't that uncommon. I once encountered a trans...
Oh no, God forbid that some femboys might have so-called right-wing beliefs. I hate this perception that all right-wing ideas are inherently evil just because neo-Nazis and conservatives exist. It drives me nuts. Like, the right wing and the left wing both have good and bad ideas. So don't don't try to give me this BS that because femboys have, quote, right-wing ideas, that makes us bad. Like, I believe in some right-wing ideas. I'm pro-gun, even though I don't like guns. I'm pro-capitalism. But at the same time, I also hold some ideas on the left. For example, I'm against the drug war. I think that all drugs should be legalized. I think you should be able to do as you please so long as you don't hurt another person. I don't really fall under the right-left dichotomy. I think both sides have some decent ideas, but both sides are just complete shitheads, so I don't associate with either side. That's why I call myself an anarchist, because I don't want to be associated with politics. I don't want to deal with the right and left. Both sides are insane.
Yeah, but apparently the right is evil. The left can do no wrong.
If you really want to play this game of who's worse, the right or the left, I can tell you this much. The left, you're going to lose that battle every single time. Even if you want to bring up Adolf Hitler as an example of a so-called right-wing alt-right leader, I got news for you. Your boy Joseph Stalin killed way more people than Adolf Hitler did. So once again, I wouldn't be throwing stones from within that glass house if I were you.
It's so weird because I can never get a straight up answer if I'm left wing or right wing. And a lot of ways people ask is, all right, the first thing they ask, so what's your views on abortion? And I say, depends. What's the race of the child?
I mean, I'll try to keep my opinion, my perspective on abortion simple, because abortion is actually one of those things that's difficult for me to talk about. I mean, I can talk about it. I've debated it many times. It's just difficult for me to talk about because I find abortion to be a moral travesty. I think it's absolutely unacceptable. And I believe that abortion is murder. It literally fits the dictionary definition of murder. It is the premeditated killing of a human life, and you can't say that it's not a human life. You can't pull the whole it's just a clump of cells argument. I've debunked that on countless occasions. Life begins at conception, and if it's just a clump of cells, then why is it that abortion doctors have a thing for quitting? Because they can't live with what they're doing. Why would they be doing that if it's just, quote, a clump of cells? It's almost as if these abortion doctors know that what they're killing is a human life. And for those that have a sense of morality and right and wrong, they're disgusted by what they're doing.
All right. So consider this. All right. So I am pro-abortion and anti-choice. It's the best of both worlds. All babies die and women don't have a say. Because what's it called? I think the human race has gone on long enough. Like, I just took one look at our election and it's done. It's done. The human race is done.
Well, I was talking about how I have lost all respect for my fellow Americans for voting for Biden. All you motherfuckers out there in America have no leg to stand on. None whatsoever. You voted a freaking dementia patient who also serves as little more than a fucking puppet into office, who also, shock of all shock, is actually a literal freaking predator. This is what I love. I want to save this for something in the future, but I'll get into a little bit here. I just love how the people who flip their shit over cuties actually unironically say that Biden was the best outcome. Are you fucking me? These people are stupid. They have no morals. They have no principles. They are brainwashed sheep that are doing nothing more than walking off a cliff. Because people hate Trump, like getting Trump out of office is more important than getting an actual leader into office that actually gives a damn about this country. It's pathetic to me. And I've lost respect for Americans on both sides of the spectrum, the right and the left, the Republicans and the Democrats. You're both idiots, plain and simple. You don't have any legs to stand on. And I remember this one time, I called out the YouTuber Miss Anthros Pony, if you've heard of that cringe lord, And I pointed out how he's a hypocrite because in his video where he bitches about someone defending cuties and has an overly emotional meltdown, like he gets triggered like I've never seen anyone get triggered before. He actually says in his video at one point that, well, at least Trump didn't win, basically saying that Biden was the best outcome. And when I called him out for this, he had no argument. His only argument was, idiot, I don't like either candidate. I think both are terrible. I'm like, okay, then why say that you're glad that Biden won? Seems kind of hypocritical considering that he's a literal predator and you're throwing a shit fit about cuties. And what was funny, he couldn't respond to me. You know what he did? He responded to Wolf instead because he accidentally made a mistake in one of his comments. So he just tried to focus so hard on Wolf's mistake and tried to pretend that I didn't exist because he knew he couldn't counter me.
What's up?
And not to mention, you know what he did afterwards? He deleted my comment, shock of all shock, because I completely burned his ass. And I now forever call him Pony Boy.
Calf Femboy, his first post was, I want a tomboy mummy, Tom GF. And his second post was about how hedonism corrupts people's morals and goes against God. And someone else commented, it's funny how a lot of right-wing femboys are both, I want
a tomboy mommy. How is this idiot taking anything seriously?
I mean, if you want to know more about homofascism, Anitaku's in the chat.
Gotcha. I'll do a little bit more research into it. However, I get the feeling that homofascism is not anything to take seriously. I wouldn't be surprised if it's just a glorified meme just to fuck with people. That's the kind of vibe I'm getting from it. And if people do take it seriously, okay, they're idiots. Shock of all shock. Am I supposed to be surprised at that? There's idiots in any community.
You know, it's just a meme, just like the Kekistan thing is.
Yeah, I mean, go to almost any community and you can find an example of morons within that community or people that hold questionable beliefs. Like if you go into the Pokemon, it would be so easy to go into the Pokemon community and say that Pokemon fans are Epstein supporters. It would be so easy to just go into the Pokemon community, take some fan art and memes out of context and label the whole Pokemon community and label Pokemon as Epstein propaganda and all Pokemon fans as pedophiles. It'd be very easy to do that.
I mean, are you trying to say Pokemon isn't like one of the biggest Epstein fans ever?
Are you trying
literally
to like, that it's a bad thing to jerk off to Misty?
Came from Pokemon.
Oh, next you'll be telling me that we've been wrong for jerking off to Misty, May, Dawn, Iris, and Serena all this time.
Y'all been wrong.
The very idea.
To Misty, May, Dawn, Iris, and Sabrina all this time. Oh shit! You must be JoJo.
Like I remember I had to mock this woman on Twitter that was calling fans of KNJ pedophiles. So I decided to troll them. So first I sent a clip of a DBZ out of context of Bulma flashing Roshi. And then I said, the Dragon Ball Z is at it again, sexualizing minors. All DBZ fans are pedophiles. Pokemon's. I took a scene from Pokemon out of context. And then I'm like, Pokemon's at it again, sexualizing Dawn. All Pokemon fans are pedophiles. And the woman never responded, but I hope she realized how stupid she was and that she was getting trolled pretty hard for her dumb logic and just decided not to engage to avoid embarrassing herself any further.
Well, they blocked or muted you because that's what they do when they.
As part of my knowledge, they haven't blocked me yet. At least the last I checked, they didn't, because I could still tag them.
A list of messed up sexual yearns and Hail Hitler at the same time, as if Hitler wouldn't look down on them in disgust at their kinky lusts. Someone else wrote, the main link is 4chan because G has a ton of femboys, and 4chan in general has a lot of racist right-wing neo-Nazi edgelords. Why is it always 4chan with this stuff? Someone else responded to that saying, what I remember is the board Cute Boys from 8chan before the site died. I remember a fair share of far-right ideas being thrown around, mostly contained in 2 threads, one asking about right-wing femboys and others asking about left-wing femboys, with both threads having both sides arguing with each other.
Okay, so this guy really shouldn't have used this as an example because, oh, right, femboys can be on both the left and the right. It's almost as if this isn't a problem because femboys are all individuals and hold their own beliefs.
No, this is actually a huge problem. We can't have communist femboys.
Like it boggles my mind how these people, more importantly, this guy functions. Like, why is he even asking? Like, do femboys have a neo-Nazi problem? Like, why not just say like some like femboys have questionable political beliefs or something like that? Because if they were also asking about left-wing femboys, then that already kind of shoots yourself in the foot. That femboys are being, quote, attracted to the alt-right.
So on the femboy subreddit, someone wrote, can someone explain the edgy alt-right femboy archetype to me? So this post said, yeah, what's up with this over-prevalence of alt-right femboys? I mean, obviously there's the 4chan crowd trying too hard to be edgy and calling racism and such humor. I've been on more than one femboy Discord server full of abhorrent racism and misogyny and transphobia. Hell, I had a femboy friend who I considered fairly close with me, but had to stop speaking with them on account of some of the disgusting things they're saying online. I don't get it.
I love how they're so vague about this, just racist, transphobic, and all this stuff. Like, why don't they ever provide screenshots? I have to wonder if they're just making this stuff up. I mean, it wouldn't be the first time people like this made stuff up to demonize an entire group.
Oh, yeah, trust me. I've seen this before. They have all these claims with no evidence. Just look at the Kick Vic crowd.
Oh, yeah, exactly. So it's like even this guy admits he has no evidence. So we just have to take this stuff at face value, which guess what? I'm not going to do that. It's not that hard to provide evidence. Like, if I can provide evidence of Death Battle being stupid, these people have no excuse. It's not that difficult. Trust me. I was able to make a compilation of all of Death Battle's stupid moments and moments where they lie. Like, it's not that difficult, people. Like, I can make a video called Death Battle is a bunch of lying idiots, and I'd actually be able to prove it as such. Sorry if I bring up Death Battle a lot. I have to pander to my audience that's mostly made up of anti-Death Battle people because that's where I get most of my views from, so I got to make sure to pander to them. But it boggles my mind. Like, it can't be that difficult to get evidence. Anytime I'm able to, like, for example, anytime me and Wolf find evidence of a transgenders trying to pink pill femboys and traps, we're able to get screen caps of it every single time. We're always able to get irrefutable evidence of the pink pilling.
And then they still have the gall to say, pink pilling doesn't exist.
Yeah, like, I wouldn't be surprised if these examples of so-called racism and transphobia were just jokes or memes that were taken out of context. In my experience with these type of people, I wouldn't, especially Discord, like, do you know how many freaking edgelords join my Discord alone and say stupid, edgy stuff just for the sake of saying stupid, edgy stuff? Like, it happens more often than you think. And here's the thing. This is why I hate new generation edgelords, because they try way too hard to be edgy without understanding what being edgy is about. This is why I always laugh at it. Like, I'll get people that will come to my Discord.
There you go. I just linked something to you. You could put it on the screen. And it was like, you were asking, why don't people back up their claims when that happens? Usually it's because of this. This is what happens. You put it on the screen.
Sure. Where'd you post it?
I linked it via your Discord.
Ah, gotcha. Mine? Oh, okay, gotcha. All right, let me pull this up real quick. And it's not cooperating with me. What the hell? Just work, you piece of junk. Okay. Guess I'm just going to have to do this the old-fashioned way.
Are you unable to put it on the screen?
Oh, I am. I was just trying to pull up the link to the tweet itself, but it didn't want to work. So I'm like, okay.
Okay.
Yeah, so I'm trying to pull it up. Screw it. I'll just have to do it this way, I guess. Okay, so let's see here. A BLM activist at a TAMU, don't even know what that is. Oh, okay, I see. That's Nat. Never mind. Claimed in ultra viral tweet that racist messages were left on his car. Video shows he placed them there himself. He is now refusing to cooperate with. Why am I not surprised? People are always trying to fake hate crimes, and it's always hilarious because they always fail miserably. Like, you'd think after Jesse Smollett, they would stop trying.
Oh my God, they're so desperate to find racism that they fabricate racism.
So clearly these people are willing to manufacture so-called racism. And every time, I get called transphobic all the time for some of the dumbest stuff you could possibly imagine. I've been called transphobic for insinuating that traps aren't transgender. Like, I'll take a character like, say, Hideyoshi. Clearly not transgender. The whole joke of his character is that he's a boy that looks like a girl, and everyone thinks that he's a girl, and he tries to convince everyone that he's a boy. His most famous quote, his most famous catchphrase is literally, "I'm actually a guy, remember? I'm actually a guy." That's literally where that meme came from in the trap community. Actually, I'm a boy. That came from Hideyoshi. Clearly, he's not transgender, but these morons would call him transgender anyway, and I've been called transphobic for that. Like, I don't even know what transphobia even means at this point, because everyone just calls everyone transphobic at this point.
Just another buzzword to label people that don't agree with them.
Pitiful. And again, the fact that none of these people have evidence for this just is so rich, because we can literally just disregard all this bullshit because there's literally no evidence. For all we know, all this is just made up or exaggerated.
It's incredibly ironic that so many femboys would associate themselves with people like that. Is it some sort of internalized self-hatred or a need to feel superior to society?
Aha! Fuck! The internalized self-hatred argument. I fucking hate that shit. They do. The feminists use that same argument, internalized misogyny or internalized transphobia. Fuck you.
I just found. I saw a tweet like a day or two ago that was hilarious when they were posting a picture of a character, and it's like, this is no men would ever. No woman would ever choose to dress like this. This is specifically for the male gaze in just a misogynistic way, and all. And after that, they talked about why it is empowering and whatnot. And they said, no, that's not the character. That's the creator saying it. And it's like, women wouldn't actually do this, or blah, 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 blah.
Except
and then
the freaking person do it.
It's like the person that designed them was a female. And then they just said internalized misogyny. And I just laughed so hard.
Yeah, like, they have internalized self-hatred. How does that work? So because they make edgy jokes about neo-Nazism, that means they hate themselves.
The way they use it is absolutely hilarious.
Yeah,
like the way they use it isn't actually the way it's supposed to be used.
Yeah, why do they assume that? Oh, these femboys are Nazis. Do they hate themselves?
Which is actually really.
Why can't these
almost
people
everything that they say is the real thing? It's just they're pretty much using it. What's it called? like super liberally. It's almost the point of like I feel a little bit sad, and then they're like, "You're clinically depressed."
Yeah, someone who actually
almost like
suffers
that.
from clinical depression get fucked.
It's pretty much that kind of exaggeration. But yeah.
Yeah, it just gets worse and worse over time. Like he just has to pull out all the classic arguments.
Going.
I stumbled into a Nietzsche portion of the commentary. Okay, Nietzsche. It wasn't exactly like. Okay, yes, Nietzsche may have been a questionable figure, but Nietzsche was actually a pretty smart guy if you actually look into some of his most famous quotes. Me and Wolf, not too long ago, were finishing up the Rampage trilogy, and the main character, Bill Williamson, in one of his speeches points out how, yeah, Friedrich Nietzsche may have done this bad stuff, but Friedrich Nietzsche also said this, and he pulls up a Friedrich Nietzsche quote, one of the most famous ones, about the climbing the mountain of wisdom and how it's very lonely and cold up top the mountain of wisdom, but when you do climb to the top, there's no greater satisfaction. And I'm like, yeah, that's kind of a good point. Like, just because Nietzsche may have done some questionable things, it doesn't take away from some of the smart or philosophical things Nietzsche may have said.
I think it's
Nietzsche what are you saying? Nietzsche's doing questionable things. Like, isn't it just normal behavior to go hit on your sister, then get rejected, and then start taking a whole bunch of drugs and shit like that, and then buy a hooker and everything like that, and then get syphilis, and then pretty much have your brain melt to the point that you're crying at a dead horse because it's dead?
I don't know about you, but I prefer my prostitutes with a little extra meat. So I go to a very special side of the community to get me some very special boys.
Invented a certain saying is called keeping it within the family.
Well, I would say Mag would fit that to a T.
Oh man, I'm just messing around. We can keep continuing.
Else, or have I just stumbled across a niche portion of the community? And someone replied, extremist ideologies always target disaffected youth. It's absolutely no surprise that femboys, a marginalized group, would be susceptible when anger.
I hate that term marginalized. I hate it so much. I don't know what the fuck it means because these morons are never consistent with what it means. And it's more times than not bullshit. I'm a femboy and I'm not freaking marginalized, you dick.
But you should be.
It's like, again, I genuinely don't even know what marginalized means. I swear to fuck, it's just a made-up word at this point. And if it's not a made-up word, well, fuck if I could tell you what it means. I don't even think even these people can tell you what marginalized means.
It's not a made-up word. The definition is just marginalized.
At this point, just used by people who want to play the victim.
Like, just because you're a femboy, that doesn't mean, like, you're marginalized. Like, yes, some femboys get bullied, but just because you're bullied, that doesn't automatically mean you're marginalized, dickhead. I got bullied a lot growing up. I wasn't marginalized. Some kids are just dicks. That's all it comes down to. Everyone gets bullied at some point in their life, unless you're some sheltered, privileged trust fund brat that should go live in a third world country because you probably want to be oppressed.
Don't talk smack about my life.
Bad things happen. Speaking from a personal past experience, it can be a form of catharsis even if you don't really believe the ideas. Spreading them and seeing the effect on others is a strangely satisfying indulgence. Knowing it's sort of a political forbidden fruit, maybe it's an attempt to lash out and inflict some of the inner pain on others. It also tends to be a community that unquestioningly welcomes anyone willing to join, especially if they're of desired ethnicity. And then obviously Femboys are some of the first victims if the alt-right ever gain power. But if you've been watching this series I've been making, you will have seen a lot of this stuff anyway. A lot of these groups who join the alt-right, whether you're a furry or a brony or anything else, a lot of the time it's because you've been ostracized by society. Now,
Oh, bronies are being ostracized. Bronies.
Oh my God.
This dude is talking about bronies.
Man, I wish society was half as base as he's saying.
Don't get me wrong, bronies are extremely cringe, but they're not ostracized. They're fans of one of the most popular, well-known kids' cartoons ever made. They have conventions in their name. Like, how are they ostracized? I don't think you morons know what these words mean. And again, furries are being ostracized? Really? Like, I'm sick of hearing these words.
Femboy is an obvious case of people who would face a lot of discrimination because, as we all...
How? Explain! What discrimination, you moron? What discrimination are femboys facing? Last I checked, I'm not being denied jobs because I'm a femboy. I'm not being segregated because I'm a femboy. Well, I don't know. Maybe the freaking SJW identity politics retards are trying to segregate me, but that's besides the point. How am I being oppressed? I own my own place. I pay my rent and bills without a problem. Like, how I adopted a cat not too long ago, and I was not denied service because I was a femboy. When I go to a store when I went to the store recently to go buy me some feminine cleaning products, I was not denied service and nobody batted an eye at me or even had an issue. How am I being oppressed? Explain to me how I'm being oppressed outside of the jackasses in the fucking trans community, mostly the SJW side of the trans community, that are trying to pink pill me. And even then, they're barely even doing that because I call them out on their BS and then they get frustrated and block me.
They just want to be oppressed so badly.
I'm no femboy I've ever met, unless maybe they're an SJW femboy, has wanted to be oppressed. At least, again, not from my experience. Now, I won't say I speak for all femboys. Neither does Wolf, just like how Unknown doesn't speak for all transgenders. I have to wonder what this moron is talking about.
Every single transgender there is out there. Because my word is law.
Sorry about that. I didn't mean femboys. I meant these SJW types that scream oppression.
Yeah, it's so amusing to me how they just casually throw the term oppressed out there. Like, I got news for you. I'm not oppressed, okay? Like, the only time I was ever denied service is when I tried to buy a gun, but because I had an out-of-state ID, they told me no. But it had nothing to do with me being a femboy. It had everything to do with stupid dipshit gun control laws that says you can't buy a handgun with an out-of-state ID.
All right, we can keep going.
Yep.
Know in Western countries as well as other countries, trans people aren't generally accepted. The UK is somehow...
Not all femboys are trans, you buffoon.
Oh my God.
I go on a limb and say that's kind of impossible. Based off of what the definition of trans is and the definition of femboy, but whatever.
They're Also, okay, yes, you could argue that there are some parts of the world where transgenders aren't treated well. This doesn't mean that they're oppressed in all parts of the world. The West literally bows down before trans people. There are people out there that are complaining that there's not enough trans representation. Steven Universe is one of the most freaking overrated cartoons of all time. Lick my fucking boy pussy, you mentally retarded piece of fuck.
Yeah, because Steven Universe literally panders to literally everything.
Like, in Steven Universe, every character except Steven, I guess, is supposed to be a transgender. Except they're not transgender because they're also non-binary. But how can they be non-binary if they're transgender and look and sound like women? But whatever.
It's oxymoronic.
Some kind of moronic.
And I'm so sick and tired of people saying that this boy is acting feminine or dressing like a girl, he must be trans. I got news for you. I'm feminine. I dress and act like a girl, and I'm not trans. And if you call me transgender, I am going to respond in kind by calling you a moron. Like, I'm sick of this idea that trans people hold a monopoly on cross-dressing and being feminine when you're a boy or being masculine when you're a girl. Also, I have to wonder if this dude feels the same way about tomboys. Would he say the same thing about tomboys?
Tomboys are based. All right, let's what's it called? We can keep going.
Are worse than the US in this regard. Now combine that with the historical view of gender norms. Now,
give examples. Damn it.
Keep going.
if you're a man dressing up as a woman, I guess that's even worse for some people because you're saying you're a man, you're meant to be masculine, you're meant to act a certain way, and you're choosing to dress up as a female, and you're not even transgender, so you're not even saying you are a female. I guess that bugs people, and you see a lot of the hate people like James Charles and Jeffree Star get, who are both technically femboys. I don't know if they ever describe themselves as this, but you can see how that sort of stuff would drive people deeper into these online communities or these places like 4chan, and like someone was saying there, it feels good to say this stuff, and it feels like you have the backing of your community where you're accepted by other people who are marginalized. And of course, Nazi groups used to be way more underground, so you can imagine the types of people who would join them. But these are almost...
The alt-right is not fucking marginalized. And if they are, they're only marginalized because of you dipshits on the left that are trying to prevent them from speaking while also giving them a platform because you people are morons.
Fascist and alt-right groups are out in the open. So we're going to move on to Nazi Germany and femboys, and then we're going to move on to Jeffree Star talking about why he used to say a load of racist things, and I'm going to use that to really dive into why femboys might join the alt-right. But before we go any
so you're going to use a guilt by association. Okay. Fuck you. I could easily pull a guilt by association with this guy, but I'm not going to do that because I'm not a petty asshole.
But like I said before in my other videos, I want to show both sides. And although in this video I'm already saying I don't really know about this stuff because there's not much research done and there's not much concrete examples.
I don't think you know much in general.
I'm going to read what the femboys subreddit thinks to this type of thing. So a post from one of the mods said, systemic racism, individual anti-BIPOC prejudice. And this was when the Black Lives Matter protests were going on. And it said, I'm sure, as you are aware, the notion of racist femboys is quite widespread to the degree where every femboy is seen as a
systemic
racism.
racism.
Yet another term that basically has no meaning, because whenever you debunk systemic racism, they just change the meaning of what systemic racism is. I remember my old friend Asriel tried to say that systemic racism is a thing, and when I debunked systemic racism, he said, "Oh no, systemic racism actually means this." Yeah, really convenient. And even then, if someone says something racist, honestly, who cares? To quote a once wise ANCAP before he completely lost his mind, it's just these people have no power. It's just Beavis and Butthead coming up to you and saying your skin looks like poo-poo. That's all it is. That's all modern racists are. They're literally just Beavis and Butthead coming up to you and being a mild nuisance. They don't have power. As long as they don't have power, there's not much they can do about it. This is why anarchists like me don't believe in government or giving people any kind of power. We don't believe in rulers because we believe that only leads to trouble. We understand that racist laws can only exist if there's a government to enforce said racist laws. Remove the government, nobody can enforce any racist laws against you or enact any racist laws. At least that's what we anarchists believe. So it's like, again, I hate it when people treat racism, especially modern racism, like it's a bigger problem than it is. Unless someone's getting the shit kicked out of them for their skin color, being denied service because of their skin color, or there's some kind of genuinely racist law being enacted, racism is not as big of a problem as people want to make it out to be. Okay, someone says something racist. Who the fuck cares? Just respond with a witty comeback. That's all you need to do. Just let the racist people sound stupid. This is why censorship is a dumb idea, because all you do is just trigger the Streisand effect. Let stupid people say stupid shit and show how stupid they are.
As your head moderator and subreddit founder, the only parts of white supremacists I want to keep around are their scalps. Feminine Boys is an anti-racist subreddit that believes in Black Lives Matter. I will ban people for saying racist things, and I will ban people for having racist post histories, even in other subreddits. If you see racism or prejudice against Black, Indigenous, or other people of color, report it immediately. Nothing less will be acceptable.
Real quick, can you people stop saying people of color? You're just saying colored people. I know that's what you think you're not saying, but that's what you're saying. Stop it, you racist, stupid fucks. And yes, you are actually being racist by doing stupid crap like that.
I mean, I'm a POC.
It's funny they want to complain about other people being racist. Yeah, they're the ones being racist. Also, they want to say systemic racism, yet nowadays they're being put on a pedestal due to their skin color alone.
Yeah, it's literally like literally people are jerking off about Kamala Harris being the first Black woman vice president. Where's your systemic racism now, fuckheads? Even though I would argue that means nothing, because it's the equivalent of saying it's the first female pedophile to ever get into office. Like, it means nothing. To quote the Smarkbusters, I'm sure some caveman was the first person to ever take a shit. Does that mean that he's an influential human being?
Yes.
Like, it's so stupid. Like, I will bet you there will be some day where people will be like, oh, look, it's the first female predator to ever get into office. Let's celebrate, because now this means that we've achieved equality, and now female predators can achieve the highest office in the land. That's essentially what this is. You could say it's silly all you want, but that's basically what it all comes down to. It's just a bunch of participation awards. That's all it is. It means nothing. Just because you're the first at something doesn't automatically mean you're the best. Like, it's no, fuck it. Let's keep moving.
So our subreddit logo depicted a white femboy Snoot. needless to say, we abolished that a week ago without much fanfare. We'll be having a contest for a new logo soon, Black Lives Matter. So from that post, you see that particular...
Oh, Black Lives Matter. Is that right now? Yeah, I'm willing to bet they don't actually believe that. I'm willing to bet as soon as an African American or African person disagrees with Black Lives Matter in any way, they will be labeled as alt-right or a Uncle Tom, because that's a common thing that BLM does to black people that don't agree with them. They call them Uncle Toms.
Yeah, I've been hearing them say that about the YouTuber, some black guy who always calls out their shit.
Oh yeah, that dude's actually badass and knows what he's talking about. And he had a giveaway for a free pocket pussy. That's based as shit.
Pretty good left-wing politics, anti-racist politics. So I'm happy about that, and I'm happy that they acknowledge that there are members of their community and they're going to take a stand against them, which is good. They're not just going to accept them because they are fellow femboys. They're going to purge the racist ones from the subreddit. So that's good, and it feels like the stronger measures are being done in that community than other ones that do have experience.
Oh no, God forbid people have freedom of speech. Purge the entire Discord. Purge the entire subreddit. Make them wear the robes of shame.
Actually, just purge the entire earth. Be pro-abortion, anti-choice.
I swear, these people. It's funny how these people claim to love freedom of speech while constantly trying to silence people that say things they don't agree with. Like, look, there's people on my Discord that say shit I don't agree with. I don't purge them from my Discord because of it, or because people in my Discord get offended by it, okay? Yep. I allow them to have their freedom of speech because you never interrupt your opponent when they're making a mistake. I let those people in my Discord spout their stupid nonsense so the people in my Discord can see how stupid they are, and we usually laugh at them.
Political leanings and pretend to be liberals or leftists. But now let's get into the history of Nazi Germany and maybe speculate a bit on how...
Oh boy, this dickhead is going to talk about the history of Nazi Germany. I will bet this person failed history class.
Right, neo-Nazi femboys can rationalize this stuff with themselves. Now, in my gay neo-Nazi video, we did speak about how the Nazis, before they came to power, had these members who were openly gay and everything. But when the SS faction came to power and purged the other members, and you had a massive homophobe like Himmler coming in, and he, cracked down on all that stuff. But this is an interesting article I found.
It's almost as if they were used just to get into power, and once they actually gained power, they purged all the undesirables. It's almost as if that's usually how this goes down. They use, as Joseph Stalin put it, he kept around useful idiots, and when they were no longer useful, he killed them. There's a reason why the term useful idiot exists.
Yeah, that's why Twitter is now actually actively banning Antifa.
Yep. Like, once you no longer post,
it was literally the day
they're going to get rid of you.
It was funny. Literally the day that Joe Biden got sworn into office, did a whole fuck ton of Antifa leaders on Twitter all just got banned at once.
Yep.
It's actually hilarious.
Yep. See, people that believe in political correctness, they don't actually care about you. They only care about the political party because the political party comes first. Once you're no longer useful to them, they will get rid of you. The Nazis felt the same way. Yeah, the Nazis may have you left these people alone or let them support them once they got into power, but once they got into power, they immediately started getting rid of anyone that they felt was useless or not a part or wasn't pure German, as Hitler put it. And that's the thing. Anybody that wasn't, even Germans got killed by Hitler. That's something a lot of people like to ignore. If you weren't pure German and had blonde hair and blue eyes, you were fucking killed or put in a concentration camp all the same. Not even the Germans were exempt from this. I always tell people this. If I lived in Germany in the 1940s, I would have been killed or put in a concentration camp. Why? Because I'm not pure German. I'm only half German. And I would have been killed for that.
Right-wing Canadian publication. But it is a very interesting article with some interesting pictures, which I'm going to put on the screen while I read through the interesting parts. So, cross-dressing Nazis, a German artist found so many photos of them published in a book. So this is written by Tristan Hooper at the end of 2018. So over the years of collecting amateur photographs from the Second World War, German artist Martin Dahmen kept noticing something odd. An awful lot of soldiers fighting for Nazi Germany seemed to enjoy dressing up like women. He says, if the photos did not exist, you would not believe it. And then the article goes on to say, cross-dressing among soldiers happened on all sides in both world wars. Most photos of the phenomenon are as a result of a theatre performance put together by troops with no women around to play Ophelia. A man would be enlisted to fill.
Every time you apply context, it shoots you in the foot. Stop trying to find evidence. It just ends up making you look stupid. Like, does this person not know that in high school or middle school, if they had a play going on, sometimes they would have like boys play female characters or female play male characters? Like, this isn't that uncommon. Like, I have to assume this guy has never been in theater a day in his life. It's acting.
Yep. There was a school play at one of my schools where a boy played Juliet.
Exactly. Like, there are so many. I remember I think it was Friends. I could be wrong, but I believe there was an episode of Friends, some sitcom, where one of the characters mentioned how
goes into
they
photos.
What?
I want to see if he goes into the photos. I didn't see if he already did those or not. Just continue.
Oh yeah. Yeah, I'll wrap up my point real quick then. So there was a sitcom. It may have been Friends. I could be wrong. But this woman talks about how she once played Romeo. She once was in a Romeo and Juliet play, but it wasn't very fun because it was in a all. Oh wait, I remember now. It was Full House. Full House. So she's talking about how she was in a play and it wasn't very fun being Romeo and Juliet because it was an all-girls school. Like, that shit happens. Like again, you apply context, and as soon as you apply context, it immediately blows a hole in your foot. So they were just cross-dressing for the sake of a play or theater performance that was likely there to entertain the troops during their free time.
The role for laughs, but the phenomenon seemed to happen way more in German ranks, according to Dahmen. This may be due to long-standing German tradition of carnival cross-dressing. So, describing this, it goes on to say, when many countries celebrate Mardi Gras with drinking and sexualized costumes, some German communities have a centuries-long tradition of treating it as a celebration of gender bending. In Cologne, one of the central mascots of the carnival parade is the Virgin, a pigtailed maiden that has been played by a man since the 1820s. Dahmen's book, which carries the rather dry title Soldier Studies, is a comprehensive catalogue of German soldiers in training on the front line.
Oh yeah, if you need me to pause at any point, just let me know. I can pause anytime either one of you wants to.
All right, so what's it called? Now, I don't know if anyone can notice the glaring issue here is that he's calling them femboys. One, they're not feminine at all. And two, they're specifically talking about dressing up for one specific instance. And femboy isn't just like, oh, I dressed up once, now I'm a femboy forever, Hulu kind of thing. That's ridiculous. Because even the United States, American military has stuff like this as well. Although it has pretty much been banned recently due to its called quote unquote sexism. But what's it called? It's where a bunch of when I was back in the Navy, what's it called? I had a lot of chiefs tell me about the stories that what they would do and all that shit, and that's where it was a routine thing, like every year what they did on the ship and stuff like that. They would have like males dress up as females and sing the song "I Touch Myself" in front of like a giant audience of people in like some kind of talent show-esque kind of thing. And it was a tradition of that ship to have at least one person do that every year or whatnot. And I'm just saying, it's like they would completely dress up just kind of like exactly how they are. And it's like, this doesn't mean that they're a femboy. And stuff like this happens all the time. In fact, it wasn't just that one ship. It happened in multiple commands. And, well, with a few variations between them.
Yeah.
Like, this is not like
bet you I could find examples of this that happened in communist nations like Soviet Russia.
Like, this is not like some, oh my god, it's like there's femboys, and it's like, no, it's literally just one thing. It's like, to even say that this would be femboys just pretty much shows that you don't know what a femboy is.
Precisely. The fact that he doesn't even define what a femboy is at the beginning of his video. Like, when I made my videos talking about traps, I defined quite clearly what a trap was and gave examples of what would be considered a trap. Like, I'm very clear because I don't want to be vague or loose, because then it's very easy to just confuse people. I like to be very concise. And yes, absolutely, like, a true femboy isn't just going to be like, oh, I cross-dress once a year, therefore I'm a femboy. Because by that logic, then I guess Ash Ketchum has actually been a trap this whole time, even though I've had people in the trap community tell me that no, Ash is not a trap because he's only cross-dressed on a few occasions and he doesn't do it consistent enough, and Ash doesn't act consistently feminine enough to be considered a trap or femboy.
Yeah, it's like
if we go off of that logic, then Ash Ketchum is a trap femboy and Iris is a reverse trap tomboy or some shit like that.
Yeah, these same people also said that Cloud is a femboy, even though it only cross-dresses once in the entire...
That's a perfect example. And like, I remember that jackass Matt Pat, which I'm going to get on his ass about this one of these days. He tried to say in his video, are video games anti-LGBT? He tried to use Cloud as an example of a transgender character, and even had Cloud holding the transgender flag instead of his iconic Buster Sword, and tried to say that because Cloud cross-dressed once and may or may not have been butt-fucked at some point in the game, that means that Cloud is transgender and that he's in love with Sephiroth because fangirls exist. No joke, he actually said that. And that's just not how it works. Like, I, as a femboy, while I admit I don't cross-dress every single day, like, for example, I'm not allowed to cross-dress when I'm at work. As much as I'd like to do that, I have to wear my uniform. I don't just cross-dress on occasion. I regularly use feminine products on myself. I grow out my hair. I've been making attempts to make my voice sound feminine, although I've been failing miserably at it. It's a work in progress. But I use a feminine-looking avatar. I don't just cross-dress once or twice and say, yeah, I'm a femboy. Because that's occasionally what this is an example of. Oh, well, they cross-dressed maybe once or twice on occasion, so therefore femboy. No, that's stupid. Like, has this moron not ever heard of a transvestite? Like, a transvestite is someone that just merely gets off on wearing clothes of the opposite sex. That's all it is. Like, they're not trans, but they're not femboys or traps either. They just wear women's clothes, or if it's a woman transvestite, men's clothes, just to get off. And even then, not all cross-dressers are femboys either. Some people might cross-dress for a multitude of different reasons. For example, Joan of Arc was a cross-dresser. Joan of Arc was a famous example of a cross-dresser. Was Joan of Arc trans? No, Joan of Arc wasn't. So it's like, it's frustrating that I even have to explain this to people.
Yep. Same also goes with Pope Joan. There was another trying to remember, there was a pope that pretended to be a man but was actually a woman. Joan was there. I'm trying to remember her name. Crap.
It's fine. If you remember it, you remember it. If you don't, it is what it is. But this is just so fucking stupid. This is a pitch perfect example of just fucking cherry picking, which is another classic tactic from these types of morons.
Behind the wire at Allied POW camps. It's not just dresses. The photos often depict men wearing nothing more than women's underwear or skimpy improvised cabaret costumes. In some cases, the undergarments may have been looted from towns invaded by German soldiers. The men in these photos were all fighting for a regime that persecuted gays, transgender people, and people who dressed up as women, and anyone else seen as a sexual deviant. So I'm not sure how widely known this phenomenon is from this author and his investigations into this stuff. But just like how contemporary gay neo-Nazis like to talk about the gay members of the Nazi party before the night of the long knives, you could imagine that alt-right neo-Nazi femboys would talk about this stuff and how there is a tradition in.
Can you please stop saying alt-right? I know he's not going to do that, but please stop saying alt-right. It's really getting on my nerves. I'm sick of hearing the term alt-right.
German society that seemed to have an effect on why so many Germans, even in Allied POW camps or even on the front lines, would dress up as women on occasion. Again, this is all speculation on my part, but as part of my investigation, I thought it would be interesting to see.
Yeah, investigation in massive fucking quotations. I will bet you if you were a private investigator, all of your customers would be pissed off at you because you wouldn't be able to solve shit. You wouldn't even be able to solve the mystery of the difference between a hole in the ground and your own asshole, you fuck.
Yep.
If there was any historical precedent for Nazis who dressed up as women, and I seem to have found some. How much it affects anything is really up for debate. So lastly, we're going to talk about Jeffree Star. So Jeffree Star is a man who has a very successful makeup business and has presented feminine since they were in the 10th grade. But when they were younger, they used to say a lot of racist stuff online. And when this was uncovered about 2-3 years ago, I'm
just going to say this real quick. Given how loose the definition of racism is nowadays, I'm willing to bet that some of this racist stuff isn't actually racist. It's just called racist because nowadays everything is racist. If you go off of people like Anita Sarkeesian, they literally think that everything is racist. For example, in a later podcast episode, I plan on talking about this, but Movie Bob thinks that Resident Evil 5 is racist simply because you're a white guy in Africa shooting black zombies. I shit you not. So if that's racist, then the definition of what racist is has been lost. Like, from my perspective, if you are not discriminating against people's race based purely on their skin color and have the belief that people are inferior to you because of their skin color or you're superior than them because of your skin color, it's not racism and you need to just shut the fuck up. Plain and simple.
And, it's funny, even if people did say actually racist things, people are trying to cancel them for what they said years ago, and they may not even have those same beliefs anymore. Like, I remember they tried to cancel Paula Deen, who said the N-word like 30 years ago.
Oh yeah, that's another thing. That's another thing I'm sick of. They will dig something up, and it's just so annoying when they do that crap. Like, I fully expect that if I ever become a big YouTuber or I ever get to take one of my anime scripts and make it into a real anime, I fully expect some fuckhead to get offended by me and then dig through my history and try to find something that could be perceived as racist, sexist, or homophobic and then try to cancel me for it. Because that's exactly what these fucking people do. Now, I, of course, hope they don't do that to me, but given what I've seen from these people, nothing surprises me anymore.
Yeah, they would definitely do that.
They said these things, and they would say racist things, towards black people, towards Mexicans, say all this stuff, and let's say Jeffree why they did it, and then analyze that.
Growing up, I've always been a guy in makeup. I started wearing makeup in 10th grade.
Okay, so showing the
the
clip
world was
from the
not how
beginning
it
of the
is
video
today.
again, just
10 years
wasting
ago,
more
there
time.
were
Gotta
no
pad out that
guys
video
like
for the
me.
ad
There was
revenue,
no
right?
men in makeup parading the streets. There was no people like me, and I was very alone. And I was also fearless. I did not care that the world was not accepting me. I knew that I loved makeup. I know why I was attracted to makeup. I come from a family of chaos, alcoholism, and abuse. And when I discovered makeup, that was my happy place. I got to go play in makeup for hours and escape the horrible reality that was my life and my shitty fucking parents and my crazy upbringing. And, 10 years ago, when I left the
Well, at least
house,
stuff like this is perfect because
I
we
wish
can
it
get
was
through the
like
video
today.
faster.
I think that people don't realize how it really was. And I would leave the house and people would spit on me. They would scream freak and they would degrade me every single day. And what did I do? I fought back with rage. And looking back, I am 31 years old now. And looking back at that person who had just graduated high school, who had turned 18, turned 19, and then was just out into the world, I was emotionally abused. Every time that I left the house, people did not accept me. So what did I do? I fought back with anger. I fought back with rage. And it's wrong. Just because someone insults you, it is not okay to fight back. But sometimes that's how we handle things. We're human beings. And the intent behind my words back then, it was not about race. I said really horrible, vicious things back to people to hurt them, to harm them, to shock them, and to let them know that you're going to call me something. I'm going to cut you back so hard and make you feel.
I love how even in his clip, Jeffree Star says that it wasn't about race. It was just about trying to hurt these people that were hurting him. Now, sure, one can argue that you shouldn't fight fire with fire, but I can relate. Sometimes someone will just keep saying awful things to you and you'll just eventually lose it and just say something vicious back to them. Like, this guy is either dense or just brain dead. Like, how many times is this guy going to debunk himself? It's almost kind of boring that he's just debunking himself for us. We're supposed to be the one debunking you, asshat. Like, you know what this reminds me of? This reminds me of the song Faggot by Korn. Now, me and Wolf have talked about this on countless occasions, and for those of you who watch my channel religiously, you'll know I recently used this song in my most recent AMV. And funny enough, people think that the song Faggot is a homophobic song because the term faggot is constantly used in the chorus. But interestingly enough, I did a little bit of digging. I found out the song Faggot was actually written because the lead singer of Korn, when he grew up, he was described as like a very feminine boy. Like he once like went to school in like makeup, and he would regularly be bullied and called things like faggot. Like people assumed that he was gay and all that stuff. And he wrote that song in response to those people. So it's literally a song about how someone was bullied for not really conforming to normal things and was perceived as a femboy. And they called him terrible things like faggot to shame and degrade him. And that's what the song is actually about. But people are never willing to look into that meaning behind the song. And it's interesting because the reason why I used the song Faggot when I made my Owie AMV, it wasn't because I like Korn or anything like that. It's because when I make AMVs, I like to tell stories with them. I don't just like to take an AMV, slap some random song I like on there, and just put it at that. I like to tell a story. And if you're familiar with the character of Owie from Maid Sama, you would know that he was a character that was bullied for being feminine, for liking girly things. And Owie got so sick of it, to spite his bullies, he became the most famous, I hope I pronounced that right. He became the most famous idol on the entire internet just to spite his bullies. And if you know the song Faggot and you know the song Owie, you would understand why I made that AMV. Sadly, there's not enough footage of Owie because he's mostly a side character in Maid Sama. I don't know what the hell the writer was thinking when you present such an interesting character, but you focus so much on that bitch Misaki. But whatever, I digress. Like when you look into that meaning, some people just, when they get so sick and tired of people treating them like shit, they find ways to lash out. Jonathan Davis lashed out through his music. Jeffree Star lashed out through basically giving these people a dose of their own medicine, because I've always lived my life by the golden rule. Treat people the way that you would want to be treated. From my perspective, if someone repeatedly treats me like shit, makes fun of me, bullies me, from my perspective, that's how they want to be treated, so I just simply respond in kind. Does this make me racist, sexist, homophobic? Absolutely not. Sometimes it's just all people, especially when you're younger, like when you go through middle school, high school, and elementary school, like you're not as really mature about handling things as like you are as an adult. So you're going to be more likely to just lash out and say, fuck you, you piece of shit, or say something shocking to get them to shut up.
Yep. I can definitely kind of sympathize with Jeffree because I was bullied at school, not for like being feminine. Well, actually, I was being feminine, like because I said I like women's like scented stuff. I was bullied for that as well. I was also called a fag one time because I accidentally got toothpaste on my shirt and they thought it was cum. And I wanted to fight back against these people so bad, but I didn't because I was afraid it would make things a whole lot worse.
Yeah. And it's really, really sad that this guy can't understand that. Like, I can't with this, dude. I can't. I really wish I could listen to that song instead of this.
Like a piece of shit because you made me feel low.
So it was interesting what Jeffree was saying as someone who grew up presenting feminine. So saying they couldn't leave the house without getting abused. They actually came from an abusive household. And when they would go online, and Jeffree became famous on MySpace, when they faced insults about being a femboy, they would respond by using their own slurs against racial minorities. Now, whether or not you believe Jeffree Star only did that because they were being abused and they're not actually racist themselves, whatever is your opinion. And I don't know too much about Jeffree Star outside of that and what they've done lately. But I can imagine this sort of scenario is true for a lot of people, not just men who are presenting feminine. And it shows the type of people who will resort to racism and who will use this sort of language, and the type of people who may join alt-right groups who are femboys because they are being abused by society, they're being abused at home and everything, and being a femboy, like Jeffree was saying, was an escape, and then for other people, a further escape, maybe joining this community and joining a subsection of the femboy community where you can say this stuff back to people without a fear of backlash, where you can say stuff that is racist to people abusing you, and people like, the Feminine Boys subreddit won't ban you or anything, and they'll help you fight back, essentially. Like Jeffree was saying, it was the way they coped with the situation. So to conclude, the scale of racist, alt-right, neo-Nazi femboys, I guess, is really hard to ascertain. It's also really hard without interviewing one myself or having a long conversation with one to understand why they will join these groups and why they will be racist. And that's why we just have to speculate based on the research I've done, based on the stuff we've gone through in this video. I'd imagine it shares a lot of correlation with other things like gay neo-Nazis, gay brony neo-Nazis, gay furry neo-Nazis, all these different groups who feel ostracized.
Yeah, I just can't with this guy.
And again, why does he have to keep bringing up furries and bronies? Like, okay, some people use like offensive language against people that are being offensive to them. Okay, and what's your point?
I really don't understand, but this guy is giving me a headache.
Yeah, like he just keeps, and he wonders why people in the comment section are just mocking him. Like, I don't even know what more to say at this point.
All right. Well, I guess that's all. Unless you want to finish the last bit of it. Ooh.
Let's see what he has left to say.
Keep this community and say this stuff for things like shock value or to fight back in their opinion and to believe his ideology, which inherently doesn't accept them, but because people from this ideology are accepting them at the current moment and using them as, you know, reinforcements or part of their online army, then they are happy to go along with it. And as we've seen through the video series, just because people are what society deem different doesn't stop them from attacking other people that society don't like as well. If you are a white gay brony neo-Nazi or a white femboy neo-Nazi, just because the reality is any fascist movement doesn't really accept you might not turn you off in that present moment. So since you guys would not stop messaging at me about this topic, please let me know what you think of the video. Please let me know about your experience. Please let me know if there's any way I can investigate this further. Hopefully this serves as some sort of baseline for future videos, not just from myself, but from other people investigating this thing. If it really is a thing you guys wanted to know about and wasn't just a meme like we've seen the memes on Reddit and memes on Twitter. But anyway, if you want to support my channel, like I said before, all content like...
So that's about it. It mostly is just a meme, and just because there's a small minority of idiots that may take it seriously, that doesn't prove jack.
All right. Well, I'm probably gonna head out now. I don't know, unless you have anything left to do. I need to take it out. Huh.
No, that's fine. If you need to go, that's okay. Like, we got through the main thing I wanted to talk about. Anyway, maybe me and Wolf will stick around for a little bit. I don't know.
All right. Well, see y'all later. And subscribe to ER.
I'll leave a link in the description or at the end. I can always put a card at the end too.
No, I just like changed the first half of it midway through.
Yeah, I noticed.
All right, see.
Yeah, well, I gotta go as well. Some stuff I gotta take care of. Also, gotta get something to eat.
All right, that's fine. Thanks for joining me.
No problem. Maybe I'll be on the next one.
Perhaps.
See you later.
See you later. Yeah. So that's that. I'm tempted to keep the podcast going for a little bit, but I don't know like what more to do, especially because the main thing is over with. But holy damn, I'm so sick of people saying all kinds of insane shit about femboys. I don't know. What do you guys think? They decide I'm either being a petty woman or a rude, toxic man. They decide I can't just be an individual who is physically born male. Yeah. Yeah. You might want to tone that down a bit because it keeps getting you in trouble with other people. Not saying you can't like femboys, but just try to tone down the simpiness a bit. But yeah, I'm going to try my best to do this more often. Since I know I don't make response videos as often as I used to, I've been meaning to try to get back into doing that. I've also been working on a lot of stuff behind the scenes. And I'm still working on building my own PC, but I don't know when that's going to be done. But yeah, I might cut it off here because I don't know what more to add. And unlike EFAP, I don't have an army of people to send me memes to respond to. But I will try to do this more often. Like I said, at least maybe once or twice a month, depending on what kind of guests I can get to join me. But thanks for joining me, and I'll see you guys around next time.